Greetings, aliens, this is Aridif, that is Aridif, and this is its spell. We understand that in this day we have many queries, but before diving in to those queries, the two things that we have always expressed, the first, above and beyond all things that are expressed within this day, to know, feel, and to perceive that you are loved is of the utmost importance, and secondly, it is our greatest excitement and within our greatest excitement to co-create with you in this moment and all moments through your linear time as we create, and the great excitement stays within that co-creative energy. You may begin your queries at your leisure.
Greetings, friend. It is very exciting for me as well, and you are loved. Thank you for this opportunity, and how are you this evening?
Yes, we are exactly in the perfect form of excitement, in fact, in the highest form of excitement, as we understand and know that you are also, through not only anticipation, but through pure excitement in the moment, you have stayed focused for the maximum capacity of excited co-creation available.
That is exactly correct. Thank you for describing it in this way.
Yes, of course.
Okay, yes, to begin with the queries, I have a few light questions first that I wish to check in with you. My wife and I have adopted a cat into our home a week ago, and she mentioned that she wished for a cat to come in her life a few days before that, a being that she knew from past experiences. I was wondering, is this being connected with us in any way through past experiences, and is it possible to perceive its intention and co-creation with us?
Yes, of course. Now, as far as the intention in the most specific fashion, it is not possible for us to connect that deeply without a permission-oriented energy. But in the surface formula of the intention and desire, yes, of course, we are able to see it as this entity is co-creating with the both of you. Now, in this entity is well known to you and did in fact come from the intention placed by your wife in order to co-create an energetic partnership with both of you. So that formulated and understood, you can understand that this entity has explicitly had multiple incarnated points with both of you. Now we are going back in second density form only, as we do not wish to tap into the probable future realities unless that would be your desire at a later point. But when you look into your linear past, this entity has been both pets for both of you, have been entities that are trees, plant orientation, that were around you, that you kept in your yards or in your houses, or perhaps whatever formula that you would wish to create a name for that. Some were castles, some huts, others just plain houses in your perspective. So, in that area, this entity has incarnated with both of you dozens of times, and in certain co-creations where both you and your wife were together, the entity had come form in pet orientation, but not in the stereotypical identity of a pet that most of you would perceive. In fact, quite different versions of pets. We do perceive this entity as being a large entity, such as a large cat, and we are not positive of the name, as Rob does not have that name, but it appears between what you would consider a jaguar and a leopard, and this entity was based on your experiential quality long ago. Now, those energies are compatible with yourself and your wife because of your soul family connections. The entity and its energy is part and parcel with your growth and repetitive relationships within soul family orientation. That said, this entity's intent for this experience was to create companionship with you, was to learn from you. Just as you are going from your third to fourth density experience, this entity is going from its second to third density experience. And what better place to learn how to be a 3D entity than to co-create with the both of you. In that way, it is opening up that very initial door just as you are, your fourth density initial door, and co-creating for the experience of growth. And with the capacities of all of the incarnations in which you have shared energy and time, it brings even higher forms of excitement for you, for your wife, and for the entity that is perceived as this being or animal.
Wow, that's so exciting to hear. Thank you for this.
Yes, of course.
Wow. Okay, you actually started something that is my next question, so that's perfect because my wife and I also often joke about just how many lifetimes we must have already spent together, though I never came around to asking this. Can you tell me more about our connection, and was it only on Earth or also as other races on different planets?
Yes, of course. Now, as you understand, the Earth incarnation, there have been several incarnations together. When you are looking at off planet, also a handful of those energies in co-creation experiences. If you look before even entering either the Earth incarnation cycle or the Galactic incarnation cycle, there have been multiple energies where the timeline has brought both of you together. In those incarnations, we are not able to perceive as closely or as deeply as we would for the ones that are incarnating Earth cycles, but we are still able to see certain galactic cycle energies. It is not because linearly you are too far away, although that does play a part in the way that the energetics work, but your focus on your incarnation cycle here and growth brings those answers closer. So, when you are looking at Earth, there have been over 36 lifetimes that are in the front of our perspective and periphery that we are able to see. There are also multiple dozens that are beyond that within the Earth incarnation, and there are over 11 that we see before the Earth incarnation cycle, but within the galactic incarnation cycle. So in that energy, we perceive a great deal of those, some in great detail and links, and others perhaps less detailed, but still able to perceive, at very least, the timeline, the nature of the relationship, the co-creational ideal, and the lesson being learned within that incarnation.
Wow. I knew we had many, but I didn't know it was that many.
Yes, of course, this is often a surprise to many humans, but majority of humans have lived several hundreds or thousands of lives as an entity incarnate, as a human being, or at least one entity that appears to be an evolutionary link or chain within the evolutionary trail of the human incarnation cycle in the Earth incarnation cycle also.
Yeah, I understand. It's a bit hard to imagine or grasp at first how long we have been here linearly. So yeah, perhaps that is the case. But yeah, still, it's great to hear that we have already shared so much. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
And before the next question, first I really have to express my gratitude for all of your love and support, but especially because thanks to you and our sessions, I have seen the importance of following my excitement, which has solidified my trust that intent and following excitement brings amazing and rapid progress. Because 3 months ago, you told me that the odds or the probability of me channeling were about 72%, yet it didn't take long before that 72 became 100%. And I am deeply grateful for this, and my trust in your words brought you so close to my heart. I consider you a dear, close friend.
Yes, of course, we understand the importance of excitement in that what brings us to co-create with you and co-create the same ideal that you would have as a friendship, a deep intimacy that connects both of our hearts together and allows us to commune in that way. So as you are going through that 72% and raising it to 100%, it was not us indeed with the words, it was only the reflection of yourself through our perspective, allowing that co-creation to gain traction, if it were.
Yes, that is understood, but still, such gratitude is felt that it had to be expressed. So, still,
Yes,
thank you very much.
yes, we
And
perceive the gratitude and give back that gratitude exponentially.
thank you.
Yes,
Today, I wish to touch upon a similar subjects of excitement, such as astral projection and also direct seeing through third eye upon a focused intention. Now, I figured I don't want to get sort of ahead of myself and scatter my focus too wide so early at this stage of channeling, but I do feel a pull towards exploring both of these subjects. Direct seeing perhaps more so than the astral planes at the moment, but I also believe that there is sufficient trust in order to achieve what excites me now. So, though your words, add even more confidence to that. So, to touch the third eye part, I know that beings have been working with me on this energy, especially more lately, and it's increasingly opening. I feel that as well. But there are three sort of smaller questions on this topic, which you can probably sum up in one big answer. So those would be, how do you describe the current state and progress of my third eye chakra? What are the probabilities of me seeing live energy unfolding in the manner of sort of looking into beings across the galaxy, looking into the past or future with accuracy, more perhaps towards what you would call towards the mastery spectrum rather than simply just seeing some occasional uncontrolled flashes? And the third question being, which energies are slowing this progress down, whether this is belief or simply a lack of practice, perhaps? I would be very grateful. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Your third eye is open quite well. A great deal of energy is going through the third eye, both from the energetic property of the heart release simultaneously upward and downward, and going out into the what you would perceive as the energy grid that goes around the earth, and that energy has incorporated a great deal of growth within your own energy and your abilities. Now, you look at the third eye energy and what probabilities occur, what percentages can you bring yourself to open from the state in which you are at mastery spectrum as you would perceive. In that way, there are a great deal of probabilities that allow a larger spectrum. In that energy, it is a growth process. First, the practicing and the energy of tapping in to certain beliefs that you have that limit, but also certain energetic properties of blocking that you have within your own system. Now, understanding that all humans have at least resistances, we do not prefer the word blockage, but for others to understand the idea. In that energy, in your own system, you are already doing all of the things necessary to remove that resistance within your chakra system. You are tapping into your excitement. You are learning in where your resistances lie through your day-to-day operations, and in that energy it is moving forward. Now, there are ways to tap into that energy more instantaneously, not going through processes of release or process of evolutionary energetic properties and tapping in, but in that energy process it would be larger shifts of belief system processing, meaning that you will have to take all of your feelings, ideals, thought processes that relate to where you are now and what you desire, and try to remove them. Mm-hmm. We do not mean do not focus on your end game, as you would call it, but we are saying that when you are tapping in to the idea of mastering the energy of third eye, try not to place certain ideals behind what that means. In our own perspective, you're already mastering your third eye energy. You have already tapped in to channeled state energy. You've already tapped into insight with your higher self, connections with your higher self, etc. In that way, not only as a human level, but all beings in third to fourth density level, that is quite well a great mastery of your abilities and prowesses. So, in the energy of releasing the expectation of where that mastery ends, or what it appears as in your perspective, could be the first step. Secondly, as you practice with the energy, it is not as much as what you desire for that end energy to be, more so just the excitement of having that opportunity of growth through what you are doing. Let us use, for example, if you are looking at running a race, ideally, most humans believe that if they run to the end of the race, they are significantly growing in their own ability to run, to strengthen their endurance, their body, etc. and all they are thinking about is where that finish line is. But if you just enjoy that moment of running, then of course you will get to the end line and grow from that alone. And in more ways, it is higher probability to win the race or to finish the race with great satisfaction than it would be to focus on what is at the end. So try allowing yourself, as you work with your third eye, to stay as much so in the moment as you can. And yes, you are working much greater in staying in the moment. And yes, you are working much greater at focusing on the excitement without expectations. But the human energy in general, yours included, have that energy of, I desire for this to occur and these are the steps that must be taken, instead of simply being in that moment and enjoying. So continue what you are doing. Continue practicing, being in the now. Continue working in that now moment and focus on the excitement. If there are techniques that you are working with your third eye, that do not stimulate that excitement, throw those out of your routine and start implementing more of those that allow great fun. And this energy, we see through great deal of probabilities, lands you within less than 1 year working on all of those energies that are most truly exciting, seeing the spectral energy of others, working with your higher self in the most direct fashion, and co-creating much, much more than just this.
Amazing. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I think while you're saying stuff, you're probably sort of already answering part of my next questions, because I see that I have all these pre-written, and sometimes this energy is almost like stale at the moment, because as I go through these, I see that some of this can be already answered, because like you said, I also later found out, because the question was also regarding receiving new information through the channel state, but I found out, I guess somehow intuitively, or I don't know how else to say that, I should better just take it slow and build a strong foundation with my higher self first, and remove more than all, remove all expectation of what is coming through, and not overanalyze the data, or just not allowing sort of like a mental traffic controller energy going on, if you understand this metaphor. So I guess that covers this question as well, would you say?
Yes, of course, and that energy of the mental state of yourself and all human beings is not a negative thing. In fact, it can bring great positivity when applied in the correct way. But when looking at that perceivable outcome, probable incomes, etc., then yes, of course, it can be detriment of yourself being in the moment. One moment. Now, as we are going through that energy, and your perspective of looking at that energy, the continuation of excitement in itself and for itself, yes, this will do a great deal of help in your releasing energy of probabilities, expectations, etc. And we see in your own energy the greatest ability to get into that excited place is through relaxing certain components of the mental body energy.
Yeah, because there was sort of like a desire to receive new information in this state, but at the same time there was lack of trust in it. Whatever came through, I had no way of confirming it, so there was still sort of like a chance that a doubt will come in, saying that, you can potentially just make this stuff up and not get a direct information. So from this point of view, I just see that I better simply let go and allow everything that comes through, and just enjoy with the process rather than expect something out of it. So I think that's what you meant by this.
Yes, of course, and we also suggest that when working with the channel state and information, if you are working in the way that it is a two-way energetic street, where you are asking a question and receiving that information, then you are able to utilize the most simple forms, just as building the bridge to the higher self that we've expressed previously, asking questions of less concern or less outcome of interfering with certain components of your experience, and that is one way to build that trust. But knowing that regardless of what you are receiving, it is coming from a place within yourself, higher place, energetic place, understanding place. Those places will then become more discernible to you as you continue to grow.
Yeah, I see. I guess. Oh, thank you. I guess
Yes, of
there's
course.
sort of like a common theme to all of this excitement because, yeah, like you said, human expectations are something that yeah, like everyone here is there. It's a part of me, but I perceive that and I see it as a, in a way, like you said, a limitation. Um, because the next question is also, I started with there is a strong desire, but in this format, I can already see that all of this is the problem is in the desire itself, I guess, generally. But I'll still continue with the question just so I get your take on it. But keep in mind what I have already processed while we're talking. Um, there's a strong desire to remember the unfiltered encounters I have with other extraterrestrial beings during the sleep state. Um, I really desire to remember, my Arcturian friends and me building the grid with them, and my interactions with you and Treb, and with Shve, with Iwanda and his planet, the Zetas and the hybrids. All of this deeply excites me, and I wish to connect the emotions that I have for all these beings with something visual. And I can often recall a lot of regular, insignificant, to my experience, insignificant human dreams, but not about the encounters I've just mentioned. And I would understand if these would be perhaps meaningful dreams filtered with human faces due to the integration process of accepting the visuals of other races perhaps taking time, but it more feels like the sort of like the powerful dreams are below the surface that I'm able to perceive or observe. And the closest I came to was waking up to a bright face of a Zeta or Arcturian looking being. I don't know if you can see into this. And another time where a blue flash together with an intense emotion woke me up, always just catching like a glimpse or an end of the experience. And while I deeply trust you and tested your meditation technique about putting various percents of energy in a body above my physical body before falling asleep, I didn't see a big improvement with that over a simple thought of being excited to remember dreams. So perhaps that correlates to, like you said, if some techniques don't work with you, throw it out. But I thought there might be a chance that my desire for remembering created an expectations, and maybe that's blocking the flow. But whenever I had zero intentions, I usually just remember less dreams. That's all. So if you understand, it's a bit sometimes disencouraging because dream memory feels like riding on water. So keeping patience is not so easy when positive results are rare. Could you please share some insight and help me with this?
Yes, of course. Now, the expectation energy, yes, that is implemented to one degree within this situation. So you are placing a desire to see certain energies play out. In that energy, we can say that if you go into your dream state knowing that you simply desire to recall and bring back the dreams and not focus on what parts of the dreams, this can be slightly more beneficial. And the technique that we have shared with you has not been an interactive energy for you, not only due to the expectation, but also with the energetic properties of the depth and level in which you are going into your sleep state. At the third layer of dream state, it is the most difficult to either recall or to recall with clarity and non-symbolized co-creations of energy. So in that essence, it is due to the nature of the mechanical consciousness as it pertains to your fifth, sixth density body, but above the sixth density body. Right now you are tapping into mid-fourth density energies, not only as you are awake, but when you are going into certain dream states that memories are more clear, more conscious. But when you are having problems with the dream state recall, it is due to the length and depth of consciousness that occurs. So in the essence of trying to bring back more of those memories, to keep that expectations in a less direct way, and know that regardless of where you are going or what you are doing, that alone is the excitement, to bring back the remnants of what you are doing, or to bring back more full pieces of the remnants and glue them together as a puzzle piece. In that way, what we can suggest is try to place yourself in as deep a form of meditation that you are able to do before sleeping. And as you are going in that depth, if you are able to cross over from in-depth meditation to sleep, there would be higher probabilities, almost to the degree of over 60%, where you are bringing back, if not all of the dream states, a great majority. And that is due to the nature of how far in-depth your consciousness is before releasing it and attaching the physical body energy of recall. So working with just a pre-meditative state or a pre-meditation meditation and then trying to link that sleep state to your meditative state, it could do a great deal of energy to bring back that constructs.
Yeah, I usually simply sort of took time to ground, but as soon as I lay down, my focus goes away pretty fast. It's like a gradual, it's like a gradient. More and more I observe that the focus is dwindling, so I can't really finish the intention, I guess. And whenever I try to remain aware while letting the body and mind fall asleep, there was just that little speck left that didn't allow me to fully transition. So I was just laying there for an hour, being aware that I'm, simply lying there. So I guess I'm gonna have to find a sweet spot between all of this, because I don't know if I'm not laying down. I guess the transition is a bit big from sitting to lying. And if I am lying down trying to meditate, I fall asleep too fast. So I'm not really sure how to tackle this.
Yes, now in that transitional energy, this is something that only a practice can cure. There are no different versions of energies that can allow you to go from sitting up or laying down into the specific nature of vibration that you desire. But what we can suggest is utilizing a form of followed meditation or guided meditation, as you would call this, and working with that in the same way that you are working in channeled states or learning how to channel, by going through all of the processes and through the 10-step process. That will allow you to go deeper and deeper, and the less that you are connected to the concept of letting yourself go or letting yourself sleep, the less likely it will be for you to fall asleep during the guided form of meditation. But once you go into step 6, 7, 8 or 9, even at 10, and going in depth of your own higher fractal consciousness integration process, but also into simply the depths of your higher self, this can allow the transfer to be perhaps a bit less shaky or perhaps a bit less strenuous on your own integration process.
Okay, yeah, this is something that I had, I guess, some positive experience in the past, listening to, like you said, some meditations or something like that, back when I was still even excited about lucid dreaming and all this transitioning state. So I think, yeah, this will be a good thing to try out. And thank you for reminding me about this. I completely forgot.
Yes.
Do you perhaps think that if I also have, I'm not sure, but if perhaps I would be excited about meeting someone in this sleep state, having a meaningful dream with someone, and then when I wake up trying to remember that, do you think that would increase the odds, or simply put a limitation on the or sort of make an expectation out of it? For example, if I would be excited to meet you in the dreams and then wake up and try to recall that, would that assist or simply block more?
Yes, it can do both, pending upon the vibration in the moment. If you are only focused on going into the dream state to connect with me before entering, and then co-creating or trying to recall that memory, then the expectation of energy can be a bit of a blocked energy, because you are only expecting to connect with my own energy. And if it were not to occur, then perhaps you cannot remember what you are dreaming about, or if you do, it will feel less meaningful, because you have already perceived it as a failure to do what you desire to do. And all thoughts of failure or lack will eventually break down the growth that you are having. So, If you were to co-create that without expectations, then work strongly on the recall of what you are receiving regardless of what it is, then it will strengthen that energetic flow. It shows you a tangible and manifested excitement brought forward by your own work, by your own growth and your ability to let go. So in that way, yes, of course, it will bring a great deal of excitement and addition, as long as you are not taking what you have received through either memory or piecing back together your experience and expecting reproducible results with that co-creational energy. If you are simply excited of whatever dream states that you remember and bring back simply the excitement, it boosts that manifestational probability that much higher.
Mm. Yeah, I see. It's just sometimes it's hard to manage this because there is simply so much expectation, or not there's so much excitement about, or almost like I'm missing out on something, because even when I was talking to you one day, he told me I visited his planet and spoke to millions of people about emotions on Earth, and that sounds so awesome, yet I don't remember any of this. So it's like, this is something so sweet that I cannot have. So, consequentially, expectations out of that arise. But yes, I understand just keeping it slow and sort of not slow, basically not putting expectations on what comes through, because sooner or later I'm gonna be able to tap into what I'm hoping for to tap into. But before that, all of that sort of dream recall from day to day is boosting that rather than being boring. So I'll take it in this way.
Yes, of course, and one suggestion that we can give you, that excitement to meet other entities, to have any grand experience that you perceive as beautiful, large, and beyond your day-to-day experience. This appeals to you because there are certain components of your day-to-day experience that are not grand or grandiose or energetically fun for your energy to do. So first, by trying to relieve the boundaries between that excitement of a level high in your consciousness and in galactic terms and comparison with your Earth life, this will bring a bit of energetic smoothness around the entirety of all of your experience. But we also suggest that if those things are that truly exciting, and not because you feel in lack without that experience, but simply because it is an experience that is excitement worthy, then what we suggest would be to work with your higher self in visualizing things in this nature to occur. Not to say, yes, I am sitting down for meditation and I will perceive this certain type of experience, but more so, I am going into a meditative state and I will create my own experience. Through my third eye visualization, prowess and energy, I will create an experience. Once you do this, you will start seeing that as you understand, with all of the probable realities that occur and all of the possibilities within the twin soul mechanism, that anything you perceive can be a reality and is a reality. So in that essence, you are truly creating the version of recall to one probable experience that is possible and has already occurred in the now moment in one reality or another. If you do this, and you do it with that same excitement in something that did occur or could occur in dream states, then what you are doing is building an energetic bridge, not only made from excitement, but made by your companionship, your co-creativeship, and your excitement to create with your higher self. By doing this, it opens great opportunities for much of the other dream state realm, recall, experience, etc., to come back into your experience with greater ease. And it will help allow the relaxing of all of the expectations, because you do not feel purposeless without it. You do not feel empty without it, because you are able to create that energy at any moment you desire, It no longer seems as if it is out of reach. It is quite tangible and given to any moment of your experience that you desire.
Wow, yeah. Okay, that sounds super exciting. And yeah, while you were talking, there's almost like this bubbling feeling in my chest. Yes, it is very exciting. Even though in a way, when I get information, for example, from you that something happened, it's that much more exciting because in a way I know that something happened and I don't know about it. So from that point of view, it would be even more exciting to sit down and sort of like you said, uh, catch a probable version or create it in this way. But also simply, sometimes I even have just a feeling of what's going on, especially with perhaps lately with this Zeta hybrid whole situation. Like whenever my third eye kept opening up, well, I saw popping up of faces of dozens of sort of gray-looking beings that I have no clue what's going on. Yet I'm so drawn and excited to that. But I bet there's so many things going on that I'm not aware of in this moment. So I guess just tapping into that with excitement and meditating on that would bring, if not direct experiences, perhaps something close to that. So that's an interesting technique, yeah.
Yes, of course, and that is because you are linking to the probabilities that are closest to you and your excitement and your creation process. Many humans believe that utilizing this form of imagination in their own perspective would be fruitless or would be purposeless, but you are not creating from imagination, you are creating from the greatest form of creative power within your lower to higher self fractalization and co-creational point of energy. By doing so, you build that bridge higher and closer with your higher self and outward probable experiences.
That's so awesome. You made me even more
Yes, of
excited about
course.
that now.
Yes, of course.
By the way, I sometimes I have this feeling whenever I have such a sort of like if I would be an extraterrestrial looking at humans, perhaps I would perceive that as a as special experience or even for me something very dear. And sometimes I have a feeling that as I extend this feeling towards any other being that would wish to tap into this and share this with me, and especially I don't know why, but intuitively I feel like this is helping the hybrids to sort of learn from humans and this whole experience. Is this something that's going on in the background? Can you tell me more about this? I don't know, it's just intuitive feeling.
Yes, of course. As we've expressed to yourself and as we've expressed to multiple human beings, the part of co-creation of all that is exciting as it is. And when you are co-creating with another being who has all of the answers and perceives that they do not, and allows you to be their mirror and reflect, that in and of itself is of great use for growth and expansion of yourself, myself, and all beings that connect to us energetically in their own perspective, but even in those that are co-creating in larger part, that experience expands through all of creation. Now, if you do not take that energy as an approach, if you perceive reality in a much different way, then there are still benefits of those entities who are of the type 2 variety, semi-benevolent or not feeling their connection, because they are able to perceive what you are doing as an entirety of the race or individuals' experiences. And yes, in that form, all of those that are hybrid children, all of those that are perhaps the hybrid driven program entities or entities within that program setting, all of those entities gain access to insights in which they have never perceived before. Learning anything within your own environment is worthy of growth and expansion. From learning how to take out a screw within one of your electrical components to learning how to create entire universes are all growth enhancing versions of experiences. And when entities share their DNA in order to create an entire race of hybridized beings, and those beings are able to see their genetic mothers and fathers from two different races, it brings the spectrum of growth and experience to those entities much more than the majorities learn in the topical level of their experience. But in their deep level of experiential growth, it is, as we've expressed, one growth of one being grows all beings, that they are first directly connected to, and secondly indirectly in their own mind connected.
That's beautiful. And
yes, and as Treb Bor Yit NE would express, and also very exciting as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes when I have these experiences of just melting into existence, into everything, and I wonder, this would be probably exciting for other beings that are not in human skin to see how we experience it here, or perhaps not in this density, or however. So it feels natural, because I don't want this to be mine alone in a way, because I don't see in this way such separation between us. So it's a joy to share in this way, and at the same time, I don't know why, but there's a bigger and bigger pull towards the whole Zeta and the hybrid side, like you said, because ever since he told me about the being that I sort of referred to as Xanates, the one that we talked about, the swearing concept, where I think you recall that, but just to summarize, I am to help with them with the information about the hybrid programs, and at the same time they're helping me with the energies. Do you recall the being?
Yes, of course.
Right. I don't know if I even have the name right. It's just an intuitive feeling I got once, and I just keep referring that being to as that name. But ever since that moment, there's been a relaxation about the whole idea of that race, because before that I didn't give much thought about that, and there was just this general human population idea about what they call aliens or grays, whatever. So it kept getting more interesting to me, and now it came to the point where, like I said, sometimes I saw, or often I saw, flashes of beings while channeling, or while just looking through my third eye and picking up stuff. So that's very exciting, and I don't know, I've thought that relates with that in any way. So yeah.
Yes, of course, it relates upon multiple levels, as you understand. And when you are growing into the understanding of those, that experience is an unfolding of multiple points of yourself at once, because it allows you to tap into the interest, which is your mental portion. It allows you to tap into the emotional part of excitement, love, etc. And it allows you to flow with all of the different layers of energies within your body. And as you grow in that energy, you are now starting to perceive the experiential quality of what ourselves in sixth density experience. It is the greatest of excitement and joy to bring your heart connection and mind connection to the most highest point and precipice of energetic co-creation with all things that you do and experience. For example, if we were to learn how to read an English book, then that energy, we would be able to tap into all of the energies of the author, the paper, the thread that is written, the types of language, format, and history, and learn all things that ever could be learned about that book and its predecessing energies. And that is what you are starting to see in this hybridized program. It is not simply a program, it is an expansion of expansion within its own expansion.
Wow. Very exciting.
Yes.
You're so kind and loving, answering all of my questions. What I would love to do now is answer one of yours. Do you have any question perhaps that you'd like to ask me, or would it excite you to share something with me that I never intend to ask perhaps?
Yes, of course. In our own asking of questions, the sole purpose for this in our co-creation with human beings is so that they are able to ask themselves a question. So we will skip that and go into the part of giving you information that you had not asked upon or had not received. There is a future incarnation with you, one that is on the lesser side of probabilities, that within the time period that you call 2132, in a probability where fourth density is not growing nearly as fast as the probability of the energy that you are in within this time. There are trips that are going back and forth to not only the moon, but also to Mars and to all of the moon or satellite energies within the solar system, and even some that are going to the upper clouds of the Venusian energy, and very small amounts on the backside of Mercury, and a mobile operations center that moves with the rotation of Mercury. And in all of those journeys, you have set out to be an entity who goes through and trades and learns as multiple human cultures have developed within each different location, and perhaps, as you would see it, bases upon those places. At the far edge of what you perceive as your solar system energy in the trans-Neptunian objects, there is one that have not been discovered by humans in this version of reality, but is between the area now that you call Pluto and Eris. In that specific place or base, there were a new race of beings being born in that co-creation. Some humans believe that these entities were being genetically manipulated by extra-dimensionals or terrestrials, while other humans believed it was a natural mutation form of being born in a new environment and new energy, so far away from the sun, etc. In that specific energy, you are going through and learning about the new genetic mutation or hybridized energy. Their DNA is different. Their DNA is quite possibly the most active that you had ever seen. Now, mind you, at this point, genetic understanding is much greater than in this reality in your time, and even parts of probable futures in 50 to 100 years. So seeing new markers, seeing new understanding of the junk DNA that was previously believed to be seen was important for you. As you learned about these entities, you started spending more time in that place, and after visiting for over 1.8 human Earth years, you were visited one night by a group of extra-dimensional beings. They had taken you out and kept your memory intact to tell you about what they were doing, how they were co-creating. When you came back, 1/3 of the people that you told about your experience believed you, the 2/3 did not. But after you had become approximately 160 years of age, you started sharing more and more throughout all of the bases that you visited, having answers that this in fact was an entire new race of hybrids. And then there was groups of human beings throughout those areas, and the small amounts of extraterrestrials or dimensionals that did come in regular contact with humans, and they all started following you as if you were a new religion. You worked for multiple decades afterwards to prevent them from creating a new religious figure from you, but the more that you tried to push those entities away, the higher they regarded you as godlike. So in that energy, eventually, after you became 235 years of age, you started integrating the ability to use telepathy in a different way than ever experienced. That energy led you to connect with other entities who showed you a different route, a different way. That energy progressed into the first multiple contacts with human beings from several different races throughout the galactic energy. And in that energy, Earth grew into such a different form that those that once considered you godlike now started seeing you as the one who facilitated all of the new energies of extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial learning throughout the entirety of the solar system collective, and you were able to go to other star systems far, far away from the solar system of Earth.
Wow. I mean, how do I respond to this?
Yes, well,
Wow.
It was quite in stride. Yes, it was a different energy. But each time that your life had taken a twist in one direction or another, you were quite the good sport about it.
Wow, that's so amazing. At the same time, I can't stop at thinking about how come you picked specifically this one, which you said is a low probability of the future, even though it's so super exciting and interesting, and the story was a story. The probable future was really mind blowing at the moment. But how come you decided to share this one?
Because it was a low probability, and you were not likely to ask about low probability future
Oh,
versions.
ah,
Yes, but let us assure you, the reason it is such a low probability, the versions of Earth that you will choose to reincarnate in are much less resistant than that form by the time that you reach the 21, 22, and 23 year centuries.
wow, that was still very, very interesting and amazing. Thank you for sharing this.
Yes, of course.
Wow. Okay, now I was wondering, last time when we were talking about Chevet, my guide, you were not able to connect to her directly because her energy was so strongly attached to to mine. Is this still the case at this moment?
Yes, and
Okay.
it is not just this reason, but the integrated process of what amount of consciousness is needed in order to connect to us directly for the back and forth communication, either directly or indirectly.
I see. I just had one question that would perhaps help me in connecting with her deeply, or even feeling more excited about the connection. And perhaps you could transmit it, or perhaps if you have a general something to say. But the question is merely about basically, is there like a sound vibration or any other way that I can connect with her more directly? Because at this moment, when I go to a channeled state, I don't really have a certain specific way to do it or to connect with someone. It's just I allow everything to happen. And I know that, I'm not limiting myself to this specific way, but I know that Rob has found a direct or other channelers as well, a more direct way. So if you,
Yes,
yeah, I think you understand what I mean.
yes, of course. And if you are looking for that energy to chant that name in vibrational oming, for instance, if the entity that you know as Treb Bor Yit NE were just called Treb, then vibrating the word Treb throughout the oming process would be a connectable process to orient your energy towards that entity. Using symbols is also very important. What is the emotion that you are feeling when thinking about or connecting to that entity?
Mm. Yeah, that is something that I usually focus on. I would say perhaps with one word, it's serenity.
Yes. Now, what to you in your earthly experience or further as a topical symbol, or perhaps even more so a tangible symbol for serenity? What one thing always reminds you of serenity when perceiving it?
Hmm. I don't. Nothing comes to my mind at the moment. Perhaps something of a like a female statue being. I can't even describe it with words. But at the same time, yeah. It's even more of a not so much only serenity. It's just that I get a part of Treb Bor Yit NE's vibe when she comes through, basically feeling very excited and happy and loved. And at the same time, there's this calm tone to her, and I feel just at peace. So I guess I called it serenity. But at the same time, it's the same feeling when I feel as nothing. Just yeah.
Yes, we understand. Now, let us use Treb Bor Yit NE's energy for an example. It is always of great excitement. Many humans have placed his energy akin to a puppy or a young, premature adult version of a dog. So, in that way, even though perhaps many humans perceive it disrespectful to consider someone such as Treb Bor Yit NE as a dog, if an entity closed their eyes and felt truly the same vibration of excitedness and forwardness as a puppy to Treb Bor Yit NE, then focusing on the symbol of a puppy or visualizing a puppy energy while connecting to Treb Bor Yit NE would be a symbolistic focus intent And that energy, along with the vibration of the name, the vibration of oming the name over and over through excitement and intent to connect, that energy can be the drawing symbol. For example, Treb Bor Yit NE and Rob both connected with one another through channeled state, even though they had connected astrally previously by creating several stars and planets in a list of vibrational tones, that once going through that was the intent. It was created only through intent. So in that way it was that some humans call permission slip orientation, to repeat something over and over, only allowing that itself to be a symbol. So if you relate puppy dogs to 100 other things, it is less meaningful. But if you relate puppy dogs with the feminine version of a pink statue, with vibrating the tone of the name over, it brings a signature quality and places and funnels your intent directly into that tool and into that process. Even if it does not work the first time or the 100th time, the more that you practice the multiple point of energy convergence of your intent into something, that itself will always be your key to connect. So in that way, representing all of those things that you feel when thinking about or connecting to that energy and symbolizing it, using a symbol and vibrating the tone and feeling the emotion, that itself can be enough to funnel and direct your energy towards this entity.
Yes. I understand. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
It is exactly how I first came in contact with her. Just I kept repeating the name, and I can't really describe it out, but yeah, I completely understand what you mean. And I guess the closest that would come to a visual representation would be an angelic figure, perhaps something, even though I'm not of a religious background, but perhaps something like Mother Mary or something in that aspect. So I guess that visualization with the name would bring a better result. Yeah, even though I sort of never had much of a problem connecting with her, it's just that sometimes if I wish to connect with her specifically, but I don't have a specific way, sometimes perhaps this creates a limitation or expectation. Who am I going to end up with, if you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yes, of course, we understand. And by utilizing this and creating that tool, you will be able to guarantee the vibration each and every time you desire to connect with that entity. You can create a belief system out of the tool itself. And that's what it is. It is a sharpened tool of intention and direct focus.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course.
Do you perhaps have any reference to how much time we have left? I know Rob has intended to go for 75 minutes today, and I'm pretty lost on this.
Approximately 12.5 minutes to 13.5.
Okay, that's perfect. Because I sort of wish to leave the last part towards sort of. Last time we ran out of time when you were talking about which other guides work closely with me, and I sort of stopped you at an Arcturian being, which I felt a lot of connection with. So I wanted to allow you to finish, going through them, because I always enjoy hearing that, and it sort of deepens the connection. So could you perhaps give me a brief overview of these beings working closer with me, and then perhaps, if possible, just connect with one of them quickly?
Yes, of course. There are multiple energies, as you are aware, and multiple shifting energies.
Yes.
For example, the group and energies in which Arcturians come in, just as in many other Arcturian collective forms, there can be 20 in one day, 10 in the next, and shift vibrationally. And in your previous engagement with us, a great deal of that energy has shifted. There are beings who are more so excited on their intent and growth and expansion in the moment of connecting with human beings than before. And in that way, your desire to channel and bring forward information has also grown. So in that essence, there are many different beings, and the ones in which we had previously expressed, the entities that felt more close to you, those still exist as well. There's one entity that is more so excited than any other who desires to connect with you, and this being comes from the Syrian Pleaidian counterpart regions. They are one of each, but serve as a collective form. Although you would perceive the masculine and feminine co-creative energy, this is similar. The masculine energy and entity comes from the Syrian vibration, and Pleiadian comes from one that is more feminine. But this group desires, in great excitement, to speak to you for momentarily.
Yes, I would love to connect.
Yes, one moment.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. One moment. Hello, dear friend.
Greetings.
Hello, dear friend.
Hello.
Greetings.
I'm so excited
Greetings.
to speak with you and learn more about you.
We are excited also. When we speak from the depths of our heart, we want to share energies of what we want for you and show you energies of what we've seen. And it's important to do that because you have been through a very unique journey, even on the standard of human levels. So if we share that, we can share greater insight than we believe many other beings can. The beings who have given you insight have given you one-fold and sometimes two-dimensional energies of perspectives and the way that they orientate. But very seldomly have they brought you two sides of energy merged with a four-dimensional view. We don't mean dimensions with second, third, fourth, and fifth dimension. We mean multiple variations of one point. And although Aridif shares from multiple points many times, the other guides and beings have usually only given you the one dimension of self in their expression and their understanding of you, while we feel we can give you multiple points of our perspectives and yours with a mixing causation of the energy spreading out for the purpose of all of our growth and for you being able to see some things that we don't believe you've seen before. And if that's okay with you, we'll share that now.
Yes, please.
The multiple energies within all the things that you're doing now, you're dreaming, you're channeling, you're awakening, your connection to telepathy, have been a balance of emotional and thought processes. And those are both perfect for most humans to deliver, but there's something inside of your energy that has a different component than most humans. And this is something rare because the dimension, unlike the actual dimensions of different vibration levels, is in fact unique because of the dimension in level of consciousness. And what we are trying to say is the energy within you is different because you are on a different vibration level than most humans yourself, and also because there are integrated parts of yourself from the higher density dimension. The part where humans live through emotion and live through mental states, there's a place where those come together, and it's called the mental emotions. This doesn't get touched by almost 98% of all humans alive. But there's a great capacity for you to not just touch that energy, but use it every moment of your life. This part is important for your growth and balance in many different directions at once. The multidimensionality of multidimensionality. To choose this part of yourself can be useful, and the way that you do this can be very simple. You are approaching your emotion and you're approaching your intellect, And using the intellect with emotions is easy. That's not going to be the hard part. The part that you can do is process each and every thought individually by separating them into two layers and then finding the causality between. It's hard to explain in terms that human languages use, and we see that Aridif helps you understand with examples. So should we give him an example? Yes, we will give you an example. Using your thought and emotion when you come into an experience, what's your most common experience when you experience your daily life?
Just peace, I guess. As much as possible to focus on that.
With other human beings inside of your personal life, going to the store, walking down the street, driving a car, what is your most personal experience that repeats all the time, that's mundane in your life?
Regarding people, it is perhaps observation. And regarding driving a car, do you mean relation to people or just the mechanical part?
Either part.
Caution and observation, perhaps.
So when you're dealing with your life, driving a car is a perfect example. You have a logical side of you, and often you can't always tap into the emotion because you are fixated on the mental. So this is a good place to start. You have a very mental body when you're doing something that causes possible danger, and that's because that part of your danger prevention wants to use the brain, and it wants to use the animal mechanics. And yet you have let your emotions guide you in certain components of driving too. When someone's being reckless or when someone's intentionally trying to hurt others, you become worried, fearful, upset, angry.
Yes.
All of the energies there are emotional and mental. So when you're driving and you're emotionally happy because you're not in danger and you're not feeling afraid, but your mental energy is focused on the actual driving, feel both of those and try to create a meeting place. You can do this logically and emotionally, but eventually you have to do both. So when driving a car, the happiness you're feeling and the mechanics of driving straight on a road that's straight, what is the middle point? What is the point where both the emotion and the mental meet?
It feels that often whenever there's the middle point, I guess it's just calmness and emptiness, but I don't know if this is exactly what you're trying to point at.
What we're trying to point at, driving through the straight street mentally and feeling safe and warm, and it's a delivery system. It's a delivery of yourself to the next point of your journey. Mechanically, you're driving straight on a road, taking you from point A to point B, and emotionally, you're feeling comforted, you're feeling accepted, you're feeling positive, and the journey of taking yourself through the emotions is what it shows you. Symbolically and logistically, you're taking yourself through a safe emotional journey. And when it contrasts, then you're taking yourself through fear of being hit, fear of being killed, and you're turning left and you're turning right and you're not going straight. And what is the meeting place of the emotion of fear and the turning and swerving? It's that you're avoiding the energies in that moment of your life. So now you have a mental energy, and you have a physical, logical, emotional energy combination, taking your emotion and your logic and finding the place where it meets and relearning to focus only on the place it meets will give you the opportunity
to live in the place where 2% of humans can, but often do not, and also master both sides of your emotional and mental states. It's important because we work with you, and one of us taps into your energy at a time because you're either heavy in your emotion or heavy in your mental. And when you find the balance, then the two hemispheres of yourself come together. The two parts of yourself, the ego, the higher self, the lower self, the higher self, the mental, the emotional, the duality that you are starts separating. You become more of yourself. So try to focus anything in any part of any of your day activities. Try to see where you're sitting emotionally, and then try to see where you're sitting mentally, and try to find the in-between. Try to logically and emotionally find the in-between. We release ourselves for Aridif now, but we are continuing, and all of what we're saying hasn't set in fully, but we're going to be with you to help guide it to make more sense, and you'll feel and think more about it the longer you remember the synchronizing parts of your emotional, mental energy.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Thank you
dear
very
friend.
much. Goodbye.
Well, back without hesitation or delay it again. This is Aridif.
Hello, Aridif.
Yes, greetings. Now, we understand that our time has come for the end, but before disconnecting, we wish to express to you that as you listen to that part of the energy, it is not in our own perspective something that can be as easily integrated in the way in which it has been explained, perhaps not quite in the clearest note, as these entities are working with the vibration of Rob's own energy, even though we are facilitating that energy. What we can perceive and translate both quickly and easily. You are working with several components of yourself. The middle area of those integrated parts, whether negative or positive, will always find you a better balance in order to express either sides of those in each moment, in each capacity of your experiential quality. And by doing so, it allows you not only to be more well-rounded as humans perceive, but also tap in to multiple dimensions of perception and the orientation of your perspectives. That energy in and of itself is perhaps most clearly expressed in that way.
Okay, thank you for this additional explanation. I was just
Yes,
wondering if I may ask, I don't even know, but I often feel that the most perfect place where I can be is that I call it a state of emptiness. And I don't know if that's in between everything or simply away from everything, but that seems to be the most universal state of being for me to experience.
Yes, of course. And when that works for you, when that expands you, when that co-creates an energy, then it is more towards everything. But if you are using this only to withdraw yourself from your physical experience and or higher dimensional experience, then it is more so away. So in that essence, the way that you move that energy yourself will determine the outcome. And you are perceiving growth from it. You are perceiving expansion from that energy. And in our perspective, it is the greatest place for you to be.
Thank you very much. Does that collective perhaps
course.
have a name? I forgot to ask. Just if I wish to connect with them intentionally, how can I refer to that?
Yes, we do not perceive any words of names or vibration, but sound vibration continues with O sounds. It is O, elongated, and it is not perhaps usable by your language upon earth, but to utilize the word or sound of an elongated O, or that energy would be of use for your vibrational understanding.
Perfect.
Of the energy.
Thank you very much, Aridif. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. We wish to express to you that as we co-create, our great excitement expands the boat of our energy, as you well understand. For that we thank you and congratulate you. And we will bid you adieu for this evening.
Thank you. Likewise, your love, my friend, and I bid you too as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Not only are you loved, but we love you also.
I love
We
you.
bid you adieu.
Adieu.